Hey, well, welcome everybody. It's such a privilege for me to be able to hold the builders call today. I've gotten to speak with many of you individually and through your teams. And as you kind of know me, those of you that have spoke with me, I'm very passionate about recruiting and putting in the processes in place and the activity in place to really make it a valuable thing for you to understand and know. But also, I mean, obviously the money comes, and recruiting is a long game. And when you say that, it can scare people, you know. And so I got some people on here today that are in various different stages of recruiting. And one of the things that I wanted to do before I start talking with each of these wonderful people that have been through this recruiting process that we put together, and all of you can access these documents in our Builders Corner on HQ. And Brian Williamson has been doing an amazing job building out some of the new things that we've got. Brian, man, I'm just so glad you joined here, because I've been looking over the things in Summit training and Recruiting 101 and Recruiting 202. And then the stuff that you guys have been putting together is thrilling to me. And also, it's just so in sync with what we've been doing with all of these beta testers and some of the things that we've been doing. And now that I'm seeing how you're putting it together and how we can kind of blend in what we're doing together so that people understand the value of their of recruiting in their business ownership, and why and how they would go about doing it in any capacity, no matter what level you're at or when you came in, and why you would get these things started and how you would do it, and really the X's and O's. And Brian is one of the most amazing men and that I've been around, not just from his knowledge on what to do, but just as a human being. And I've kind of watched him interact with people, and I'm thrilled to have Brian in here with us today. Brian, I wanted to quickly just give an update on Summit. If you could just tell us kind of where Summit's at and on the recruiting side, and when you feel like that might be getting released. And then we're going to be adding some things to it. But if you could just give a quick overview of that, and then I'll give an overview on what we're able to do, and then we'll talk to these wonderful people that have joined us.
Absolutely. Well, as everyone knows, Summit really is just about accelerating your business results by providing you what you need to learn, when you need to learn it. And the way we're talking about it now is there's really three main components to Summit. There's metrics, mentors, and milestones. And what we'd say is metrics plus mentoring equals milestones. So if you understand the metrics of the business and you have the right mentors, which we do, tons of them, all sorts of agency owners and key leaders that are outstanding mentors, plus our corporate team like you, Max, and what you're bringing to the table with recruiting. If we have those two things in place, we are going to hit our milestones. We're going to set targets, we're going to set goals, and we're going to hit our milestones. So it is actually really exciting. We are, you and I are set to collaborate on sort of bringing a lot of the recruiting expertise that you've been working on to pull that into Summit. So we're looking at probably late April launch of the second phase of Summit. And that'll really get a lot into these recruiting metrics and kind of maintaining production and spinning both plates, if you will. So couldn't be more happy. And yeah, shout out to Roddy on the call. He's the lead teacher for our Recruiting 101 course, and he absolutely crushed it. So if you've not been through Recruiting 101, which is a part of the Summit journey, you will be blown away by Roddy's teaching and all the hard work he does. My favorite part is him channeling Danny Young at a certain point. So you have to go watch that and watch Roddy channel Danny Young's expertise. So thanks, bro. Good to be with you. And I don't want to rob your all-star team here that is with you. So,
Brian, thank you so much. And the metrics is what we've been working on, and really getting involved with the business tracker and really tracking exactly what our metrics are. And that's the first part of what Brian was just talking about. And so today we're going to kind of talk about what we did. Well, we put together a way to communicate. We know that we need to communicate with people if we want to be able to have them trust us. If you and I didn't communicate with one another, or we were on a team and we didn't speak with one another, we'd wonder what was going on. So building out a communication mechanism that talks to people through various mediums, yourself live, texting and emailing and videos and all the various mediums that we have to give them great content and let them feel the culture of our company, let them feel who we are. And having that put together in a process that when you get past that fourth contact, and it's like, most of us will get a lead and we'll call them a few times. And ultimately what happens is we get so many more leads that we kind of leave these leads over here and we don't have a process for that. And so what we've built out is a way for you guys to be able to access these type of communications that everybody can duplicate. You can scale within your team, that you can do this manually. You don't have to have all the platforms. You don't have to go out and know how to run a CRM system or a texting system, or you don't know how, maybe you just want to start off with sending a few emails and sending a few texts. All that's in HQ right now. And the process has been working quite well manually. And one of the guys that I have on the call today, and he's the son of Diane and Dan Elmer, and his name is Ben. And Ben, if you can unmute your mic, and I'll get to my updates later with everybody because it's real quick to do. But Ben, I'd like to see your pretty face too, man. So open up your video and open up your mic. And what I'd like to do is introduce you as a new agent. And I don't know if you're having trouble there.
Can you see me and hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
There you go.
Hey, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, who's your upline first, and then let's get into some real information that'll help these people today that are watching on the Builders Call.
Yeah, I'm Benjamin Elmer. I'm direct to Dan and Diane Elmer. They're my parents. And then Andrew Jimenez, Jacob Pogue, and Marshall Wayland. So I've been here for about 9 months now. Just hit my first month of key leader, so pushing for my second month this month, and yeah.
Well, 9 months hitting key leader, man, it's pretty impressive. And that's kind of like Brian was talking about, that metrics. If you don't know what your next level of promotion is, you need to know that so that you can focus on just that next level. Don't worry about anything above that, but focus on that. And the reason I had you come on first is because it's beautiful to see where young men and young women that may be looking for a career early in life, which is something like this, can really build a huge legacy down the road for you with the time that you would put in here versus another job type somewhere. And so for you, I know you started this process using it manually. You didn't have an Owner Circle recruit funnel site. You went on HQ and you downloaded a document that basically says, send this out in an email and send this out in a text and make this phone call. So when did you decide to start recruiting, and why? Because you've been here 9 months. So what made you want to start recruiting, and why?
Yeah, Max, that's a funny question for me. I feel like I actually had my first recruit before I had my first sale. So started recruiting day one. One of the biggest reasons why I started recruiting so quickly. Funny background about myself, Max. I have 9 siblings. I'm the 10th. So big family. And one of the things I always learned in my life was you don't have to make the same mistakes as those who have gone before you if you choose to learn from them, right? If you choose to ask the right questions. So before I ever even got started, I asked everyone I could possibly get in contact with, if you could do something different, what would you do differently? And every single one of them said, I would have started recruiting earlier. I would have started recruiting right away, all these different things. And so I decided, if that's pretty consistent across the board, I better start recruiting quickly, right? I saw, both my parents had been recruiting for a while, and I saw the passive income that could come. And that was one of the things that actually attracted me to Symmetry, period, was the ability to really be able to work my way up. Not that it doesn't take a lot of time and effort up front, but being able to work my way to where I can have a very profitable and passive income business where I can have the time to spend with my family down the road.
It's interesting because you've had the benefit of a parent doing it, but if we just kind of translate that to a manager or an upline, because obviously your parents love you, and then therefore they're going to give you the right instruction, and you're going to be willing to listen and learn and duplicate what they've been doing because you can see that they've been doing it, and therefore it was easy for you to trust them because they were your parents. The same thing applies when it comes to your upline, right? Or any one of these teams. I mean, you guys love Andrew Jimenez. I mean, my goodness, what a great leader he is. And because I've been on your calls with you guys. And so you've developed that trust relationship. And what you're saying is you saw the value quickly because you know that's where the real money's at. The long-term value of this business is recruiting. And it takes a little bit longer to see the results, right? 6, 8, 10, 12 months or so, but you're still doing the work today. And that's that long game that I think young people like you sometimes don't get. And so when you put the work in today and you don't get instant gratification, you have to wait on it. And so, but you seem to get a hook onto it very quickly. And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Ben? I
just turned 23, so okay. Still pretty young.
I mean, you're a man. I mean, that's it is young, but it's a beautiful time to start a business like this. And so another question I want to ask you, when you started recruiting, because I know the answers to a lot of this, because I've been mentoring your team and everything else, but what do you think made a difference in your recruiting efforts and to make it more streamlined and productive from the time you started? And how long have you been recruiting, number one?
The full 9 months.
So you've been recruiting 9 months. What's changed to make, and how have you learned how to make it more efficient? And how have you managed your schedule to fit production and recruiting? And what are you doing and what to make your business recruiting piece more productive?
Yeah, when I started, I think I started like a lot of people start. I dabbled a little bit, tried to, dip my feet in, try to get a good feel of what it was like. I was never just passively recruiting. I was always actively recruiting, but I wasn't very organized about it at first. And then, the biggest change in my recruiting process that's happened was actually, when you started coming on and working with our team. And prior to that, I really just feel like I was recruiting pretty good, but it was just very disorganized. I didn't have a good process that was in place. I wasn't very organized with it. And so, you started coming on and talking about the recruiting funnel and how that was going to work. And I really just told myself, if I'm going to do the recruiting funnel with you, if I was going to really try to train that process, I had to learn the real roots of the process and where that was coming from. And so that was when I started doing everything manually with the recruiting process. You can find on HQ and those recruiting processes. And I started doing that manually, sending out all the messages, the emails, day 1, day 2, day 3 emails, day 1, day 2, day 3 text messages, calls, and with the same recruiting process, the same recruiting platform that I had, the same ZipRecruiter cities. And I more than doubled easily what I was, able to do in a week. I went from, 15 to 20, maybe 20 on an extremely good week, usually closer to 15. And then, as soon as I started doing that, I was having, 32 interviews in a week. And, good quality interviews that were, a lot of them were setting up on their own and being vetted by the process.
So you took a job board ad lead and you applied an email that you got off of HQ. It sent that out. It's got a few videos for people to watch. There are content developed by Symmetry. They watch that and they're told to get on your calendar, right? And so you send a text to them saying, hey, look at your email. And so you started getting organized in the contact process with good content that we were sending, the company developed for you guys. And so you started doing that. And then you started getting on your interviews and you started interviewing. Well, you're going to get better at your interviewing when you get more flow of people to do that with. And so we broke it down. And so realistically, it sounds like to me that the word of the year is process. And I think that the Quilty and Symmetry are spending a lot of money to develop these type of processes so that those that want to follow a process that can make it simply executable, duplicatable, and scalable. And so you started it manually and it started increasing. That means that you didn't even have an owner circle recruit funnel site initially. You didn't even have any automation set up at all. What you changed was your ability to communicate on an organized basis, and why, and you understand why you needed to communicate, because people want to be communicated with. They want to, if they're applying for a job, they want to hear from you. They want you to send them something. They want you to get communicating with them as soon as they apply. And so when you did that, that's what I think changed. You always had the work ethic. You always knew that recruiting was what it needed to be. You just needed a step-by-step process to put it into an organized methodology, and you're killing it. Can you give me really quickly your numbers? So how many people have you recruited in the last month, and packets in and back for just you?
Yeah, I think I had 7 recruits in total for the last month. Seven packets back last month. Last month I had 4 writers. My team issued 20,000, wrote just over 32.
You got to become a key leader.
Right.
Amazing, man. Ben, thank you. I know I'm spending a lot of time with you because I know everybody can relate to somebody that didn't know how to do anything really, and just put a system in place, and they're young and they start, and people get kind of, well, this person way up here that's making all this money, but they can relate to you. And I really appreciate you spending your time with us today. If I could get your parents on the line right now, I'd like to talk to them a little bit. Diane, you and Dan obviously are doing a pretty good job with Ben, and I know we're tight on time here, so I want to run through this pretty quick. How long have you and Dan been recruiting? What are you investing on your job boards to obtain the results that you're obtaining right now?
We started just almost 3 years ago recruiting. I wish we'd, like Ben said, I wish we'd have started right from the beginning, but it took us 15 months to get started. And it's been amazing. You kind of think about what that looks like in the long run. Because you guys, when you come into recruiting, you can't expect results instantly. They are going to take time. And it's usually somewhere, you might see a few trickle in about 60 days, but usually it's going to be more like 90 to 120 days when you start really getting your writers up and going. And we started out in the beginning with just $460 invested into a monthly investment into our leads, into our recruiting. Now we're at $2,100. It's working this max day system with the recruiting funnel has been really fun and exciting, because you can see that a lot of that is, I can almost fire my recruiter, because everything just kind of happens automatically for you. It's, as you're getting those sent out, those emails and those texts constant send out, yes, you can up that, and you can get a lot more people signing up if you're doing the dialing, but you're going to get a ton without doing anything.
You are on the automation side. Your son was doing
we are.
So when Diane's speaking about this, her and her husband kind of work together, and they have a team, and obviously they've been with Symmetry for a while. And so she understood the value of the investment and the long-term value of a unique writer, and how long it takes to get one, and that you have to be patient with recruiting it before it starts paying off, like Casey Watkins has said many times, But the thing is that you decided that, okay, well, if I can have some of this emailing and texting and stuff be automated for me as soon as somebody applies, and then all I got to do maybe is make a phone call to them, and when they get on my calendar, I can text them and say, look forward to talking with you, today or whatever. It's the automation piece that I think gets people engaged quicker, because they're communicated too fast. And then you got to have what? You got to have your calendar available for them to get on there, right? And so that's a big piece of this whole thing, is calendar availability. And with you guys, I know you had, because it's kind of like a fire hose, right? The first month you got 370 something leads, I think, or so. You had 90 something appointments. And, you know, what you expect when all this automation and all this stuff started happening and you increased your budget, you know, I think with you, if you could explain, I mean, because it wasn't peaches and cream. I mean, we had, you know, you had to kind of figure this out a little bit. You know, sometimes when, you know, we talked and you got a bunch of leads, but so many people will get on your calendar, and out of those people that get on your calendar, how many people showed up, and out of those that showed up, how many people did you interview and put packets out and packets back? Because it's all about getting those people through the process. And I think with automation, it gives you more time. And I think sometimes people that go out and get a lot of these automation platforms and things, they have to spend time learning the platforms. They have to spend time learning how to upload stuff and how do I make it all work? And do I have time to do my production, do my recruiting? And oh my Lord, what do I got? You know, and I think that's where you kind of spoke to me about, man, it's great to be able to have this because we can duplicate it and kind of have a process in place where if somebody wants to recruit, they can start at any amount of money they want to start at and co-opt that if they want to with a ZipRecruiter account and round robin the leads or whatever. But tell us, you know, you recruit because you understand what that means. What does it mean to get a unique writer, and what's that value of that unique writer to get? Once you've got a process that can bring you the leads, you can recruit them, you know what to do, great. What's the value of a unique writer?
Well, once you get those unique writers, I mean, this is how your business grows. There's no way for you to grow your business, no way for you to actually have that passive income if you don't have those unique writers. And, you know, so for us, I mean, we look at this as a legacy. This is something that, you know, not only are we providing a legacy for our family, but we're providing legacies for everyone that we bring on, right? And it's going to be that impact that we can have on others, that people have had so much impact on us that we can actually pass down to others. And it's just this beautiful duplication. It really is. I mean, I think that's what Symmetry has done so beautifully, is really allowed us to make an impact by this duplicatable system.
I mean, it's a business. You own a business, Diane, and you run your business. You know your numbers. You realize that you've got to invest in recruiting and your protection. And you've got to know those, like Casey Watkins has put together this 2-box thing. Well, how many leads do I need in my production? How many leads do I need in my recruiting? You got to find that balance. And I think you guys are really honing in that balance between those two, and the unique writer value. When you realize, yeah, you got some attrition, and yeah, you're not going to hire. Everybody's not going to go out to buy leads, and so when you realize, though, the value of a unique writer is not just about monetary value. I always said you give up the right to be ordinary when you decide to recruit, because now you're responsible for people's families, and you want to mentor them, but you want a duplicatable process. And when I've been on y'all's team calls and I've seen how you guys work together and how you care for one another, a unique writer, to me, the value of a unique writer is that they're my partner. You know, I get a unique writer, and that's my partner, and I'm going to treat my partner, and I'm going to mentor my partner, and I'm going to show them the ways to, like what Ben said earlier, is to break that learning curve down, because somebody before me's done it. And so that value of a unique writer becomes my partnership. And yes, I'm making a little spread on them, but I'm teaching them how to build enough value in recruiting so their leads are free and things like that. And that's what this system at Symmetry does. And you and Dan and Ben, you're an awesome example of perseverance and doing the daily activity that's required. And when you have instructional information on HQ and in the summit training, and you can just follow it, like Ben said earlier, you're going to see results. Don't stop. You know how momentum works. You've got to keep it going. You got to keep pressing. And before you know it, it's going to be 6 months later. You know, you're just doing your everyday activity, and it becomes easier and more natural. And I'm so thankful because I've watched you grow, and I've watched you guys do this without question and without complaining. And it's going to pay off, and it has paid off. So I appreciate you coming today and sharing. I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions with everybody. We got a few more minutes, and I want to bring on Big Roddy because he was part of Brian Williams' thing. And Roddy,
Hello,
man,
sir.
you don't even need an introduction. But one thing about it is you called me one day to look at what you were doing, and you were recruiting, and you're a great recruiter, and you know how to do this whole thing. You've been with the company for a long time, right? So let's talk about the value of a unique writer, but let's talk about the value of a process based upon what you used to do, what you're doing now, and how are you scaling, and what made you want to scale, and what tools are you using to do that? And I'm going to give the floor to you.
Thanks, man. Roddy Jessup, director Jacob Pogue and the Marshall Wayland hierarchy. Grateful for the opportunity to talk here. Brian, you built me up a little bit too much there. If I look tall, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, as Delaney says. Max, to sort of answer that, it's the value of an individual writer is that in those individual writers is where we're going to find our builders, right? What I got really excited about with this was that what we're doing is working on a funnel, right? And that funnel is going to start wide at the top and it's going to get narrower at the bottom. And so the first thing we have to solve is volume at the top, right? As we solve volume at the top, now we can start to patch the holes, right? So that we're getting more people through the funnel. And without process, we're sort of having to do all that on our own. We're having to figure out how do we get people in here. We're having to try to stop them from falling out of the funnel. What a process allows us to do is to let the process take care of that so that we can focus on what the most important component of this is, which is building trust and building the relationship. The reason that I was willing to just sort of follow you blindly is because business moves at the speed of trust, and I had implicit trust that you were going to lead me in the right direction because Brandon and Casey trust you. And I've never, in 6.5 years here, seen Brandon and Casey do anything to make me doubt their motives, to make me doubt anything that they say. And so because that trust is already there, I'm able to move fast when I see an opportunity like jumping on the recruiting funnel with you. So for me, that's the real value in this process is it allows us to work on that most important component, which is the relationships and the trust, so that when we've got someone who makes their way through the funnel, now we can really start focusing on adding value to them, getting them up to the point where they're profitable. And as they see the profitability in this, that's where we find our builders. And you only have to find a couple of those to completely change your life. You know what I mean? Change your legacy forever. You find a few people. Marshall Wayland only had to find Jacob Pogue once. The Brandon and Casey only had to find Marshall once. Like you find a few of those, and it's a drastically different trajectory for your family. For generations to come.
You're driving your job board traffic to the new Owner Circle Recruit Funnel site. Yep. That we did a facelift on, and that's where you guys select the videos, and there's some standardized videos that are on there, and then we're asking them to watch the videos and get on the calendar. And so that's converting for you, obviously, because you're getting a lot of people on there. So when we made that facelift, people that are wanting to get into this and use Owner Circle Recruit Funnel site, they get an Owner Circle site and select the recruit piece, and then obviously work with our back end team to get set up for automation. But that's what you've been doing, and I know you were doing it manually before, obviously before you went into the recruit stuff. And one of the things that you did and what Andrew did to get a lot of people on their calendar to show up for the interview was a personal text. Mm-hmm. Right before in the morning, you see all these people on your calendar. Well, yeah, they might get a reminder on their calendar because that's automated. But when you send that text out, that the show rate increased 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% just by you personally sending that text out.
Yeah, for sure. When they apply, they're getting an email right away. They're getting a text from you right away. All the stuff that I couldn't do it before, especially when we turned on, especially as soon as you turn it on, you get this onslaught of candidates. I don't know how to, I'll be here 24 hours a day trying to keep up with all this, right? So the automation takes care of that. I added the ringless voicemail so that they're hearing my voice within a few minutes of applying. So they've got an email, they've got a text, they hear my voice. And then the morning, the other part is I get notifications both when they apply to ZipRecruiter, and then also when they go on the recruiting funnel, right? I get a notification that someone has filled out that information. If I don't see them pop up on my calendar, I can shoot them a text saying, hey, I saw that you were on our careers page. Were you able to get yourself scheduled for an interview? And so I've been able to handle a couple technical issues there. But then morning of, I've just got keyboard shortcuts set up for all the Android users. I can't help you, but if you're an Apple user, there's keyboard shortcuts you can set up where I can just type in a couple of letters and it'll pre-fill a sentence. And I'm just saying, hey, looking forward to speaking with you later. This is my direct line. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. So that person has allowed me to both increase the show ratio and also free up my calendar. If someone says, oh, I already accepted a position somewhere else, or, whatever, I can take them off and free up that slot for somebody else.
We can talk kind of fast, and I know we're ready for the national call now. And I just want everybody to know that all these processes, best practices and everything are there in the Builder's Corner. And if they're not in there now, they're coming in there with some of the things that we're learning as we optimize this whole process. I can tell you that our team is scaling so that we can scale and bring more managers on, because you guys were the beta testers. A few teams were. We got many people doing it now. We can take about 20 new managers a week. I just wanted to give that update. It's not like we could just take an onslaught of people, just because it takes manual effort to get this stuff put together for you guys and manage your ad content. But there's a process we send, and you can request to get on this program through just going in and getting your ownership or recruit funnel site, and then sending out an email to us, and we can obviously get you guys set up with automation. We can't take everybody at this point. I just wanted to make that announcement. But if you are in the queue and you want to do it, we'll put you in. I'm having calls every Friday at 1:00 Central Time. I'm holding these coaching calls on this recruiting, whether you want to do it manually or whether you want to do it automated. I will get to Todd Spivey or whomever that is that needs to distribute that Zoom call out to anybody that wants to participate in that, to hear more about this. With 30 minutes, it's hard to cover. I know I'm 2 minutes into the national call, but it's important for everybody to feel that the instructions of what we do, whether you do it manually or whether you do it with an owner circle site or however you want to do it, you need to be recruiting. We've got warm market methodology on HQ and how you do that. And we've got job board cold market. So I'm so thrilled to work with wonderful people and have a company that supports us, like Roddy just said. These guys put their money where their mouth is, and that's an incredible place to be. We've got some exciting things coming with Brian, exciting things coming with the onboarding process. I'm so excited for everybody that got on this call, because that means you're really serious about your business. Look forward to working with all of you, and thank you for joining us today. And I don't know if there's anybody that wants to transfer this over to the national call. Brian, do you have any final comments?
No, sir. Thank you for your time. Great to hear from Ben and Diane as well. See their growth and progress. You did really fun.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody being on. Thank you so much, Max, for all your efforts. And just want to emphasize that, guys, what Max is doing, what he's done from day one has been not something that you can duplicate overnight. Max has really built up a system now to where the Symmetry recruiting funnels are going to be running at top capacity here very shortly. We're already getting to the point where we can onboard. Max, you just said upwards of how many managers a week?
20, and we'll get more than that, Todd, down the road. But right now, just with the actual work that has to be done on the back end.
Did he freeze or did I freeze?
20 new individual people, doesn't matter if it's round robin or whatever, set up accounts to get them going. 20 managers a week right now we can handle.
Love it. The old who froze first question came in there.
That was good.
You hate to say that, Brandon. I want to say I can bring them all in, and then everybody would be saying, well, man, we hadn't heard from Max. And believe me, quickly, we will elevate that number on a weekly basis very quick, Brandon.
Yep. Love it, man. Appreciate you guys. Mr. Spivey, do we have a...
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. I froze up for a second. But Brandon, we're testing a new process for a video today. Let's see if it goes a little smooth.
Ooh, fingers crossed.
Let's do it.